Hi there, boys and girls. How are we doing today? So, in case you forgot already, my name is Mr. Stevens, and this is going to be your first lesson of the year. And this is how we're going to do these. This works best from what we all went through last spring. This is kind of the best format. So, I'm going to write notes. You're going to watch videos, and specifically, you're going to take notes. You need to behave like you are sitting here in this room with me, okay? That means you need a math notebook. Don't just grab random pieces of paper you find around the house and try and shove them all together. You won't be able to find it back when you need it. So you need a math notebook so you can take notes, just like you would if you were sitting here in the same room as me. The things that I write on the board, you should write in your notebook. If I go too fast, you have a huge advantage here. Hit the pause button. Copy down what you see, hit play, and catch back up, okay? I will try to make sure I take breaks and give you time to get caught up. But if you start falling behind, hit the pause button, write things down, get caught up, and then resume playing. So, like I mentioned in the other video, or like you saw in the introductory video, it's me and Mrs. Schleter will be in here co-teaching you normally. I'll be handling the videos for right now, and she'll be doing a lot of other things and supporting us and doing a lot of the other digital stuff along with me for the time being with this current situation. It was just too awkward trying to have multiple people trying to do the same thing with the videos and everything. So here we go. Lesson numero uno, we're going to talk about absolute value. So first off, the definition of absolute value is the distance from zero. That's what absolute value means. So if I ask you, what is the absolute value of 2? And that's what these two straight bars mean. They mean absolute value. So I go here to 2. I am 2 units away from 0. So the absolute value of 2 is 2. Conversely, if I want to know the absolute value of negative 2, negative 2 is right here. It is 2 units away from 0. So the absolute value of negative 2 is also 2. Now, you may be thinking, oh, I remember this, I've heard this before, or something like that. Absolute value always makes it positive. Be careful with that, because as most of you know, as a math teacher, I am evil, and I will try to throw you curveballs. So for example, if I want to know what is the opposite of the absolute value of 3. Notice I said opposite, not negative. They're kind of the same thing, but I want you to think opposite right now. So this means, what is the absolute value of 3? 3. It's 3 units away from 0. What is the opposite of 3? The opposite 3 is negative 3. So don't think that this is always just going to give you a positive answer. If I have a negative or opposite sign in front of the absolute value, you can get a negative answer, okay? Don't think it just always changes the sign, because obviously in this first example here, a positive 2 gave us a positive answer. So it doesn't always change. It doesn't always come out positive. You need to think and figure out the distance from 0. So take a look at one like this. I want the opposite of the absolute value of negative 3. Opposite of the absolute value of negative 3. So negative 3 is right here. It is 3 units from 0. So the absolute value is 3. The opposite that is negative 3. So those are the basics for absolute value. And now, I got some stuff on the other side of the room, so here we go. We're going to fly over to the other side of the room. I'm going to check this video. A little too close the first time. This will work much better. First day, last year I did these from home. I had it all set up. I'm getting used to it. So here we go. These two symbols, frequently confused. Write them down in your notes. This symbol right here is the is less than symbol. This symbol right here is the is greater than symbol. Write it down in your notes, what those symbols mean. So, how do you know if something is less than or is greater than? Some things we just kind of know. Some things we got to think a little bit harder on. We come back to our old friend, the number line here. If we are in doubt, we can write the numbers on the number line. The number to the right is the greater value. So if I have 3 and 5 on my number line, 5 is bigger than 3. We know that. Or I could say 3 is less than 5, depending on how I wanted to say the problem. We always read our problems left to right. That makes sense in our heads. We know 5 is the bigger value. If we're dealing with two numbers over here, which number is bigger, -3 or -5? Well, some of you might think -5 is bigger, but it's not. The number on the right is the bigger number. So -3 is bigger or greater than -5. Okay? So, let's turn our attention to numero uno, number 1. 7 and 10, I want to compare 7 and 10. Again, if I look at a number line, 7 is going to be here, 10 is going to be here, about. So 7 is less than 10. Again, we read left to right, so I would put an is less than sign there. 7 is less than 10. Number 2, we just talked about this. I've got -5 and -3 on my number line. -5 is to the left, so -5 is less than -3. Number 3, bring in some of those absolute value questions that we talked about. I've got the absolute value of -7, the absolute value of -7, +7. So now I compare 7 and 4. 7 is greater than 4. Number 4, again, we've got to evaluate those two absolute value signs before we make any comparisons. The absolute value of -5 is 5. The absolute value of -3 is 3. So now, I'm looking at the positive values when I make this comparison. So, 5 is greater than 3. Again, you should be writing this down. If I'm going too fast, hit the pause, get caught up, and then resume. Number 5, so we've got some decimals in here. We got 2.5 and 2. Well, they're both positive values. If I want to compare the two of them, so I know 2 is on the line, 2.5 is more than that. It's 2 and then a half more, so it's to the right. So 2.5 is greater than 2. And the last example I'm going to do for you here, number 6. If I have decimals and I want to do a comparison of decimals, I need to make sure I'm evaluating things that are apples and oranges, or not apples and oranges, things that look the same. This has 2 decimal places, this has 1 decimal place. That's kind of hard to get into our heads. So what we need to do is we need to carry this out and take it out to 2 decimal places. We can always fill in those zeros. So now I've got 8.47, 8.50, 8 and 47 hundredths, 8 and 50 hundredths. So now hopefully it's a lot easier for you to see. This is less than this, 47 is less than 50, less than sign it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes our first lesson of the year. There'll be a Google form for you to complete your daily assignment on. Make sure you're taking care of business there, and I will see you tomorrow.